Hi, I'm Daniel Lucas, and welcome to Abstract Essay, where ideas take shape, thoughts find depth, and every conversation explores the art of thinking beyond the obvious. And today I have my special guest. He is a leadership mentor, children's book author, parenting advocate, Marine officer, and the future author of Lead Last, no other than Mr. Olaolu Ogunyemi.
Hey Daniel, thanks so much for having me. It's just always great to be with you, and I'm looking forward to our discussion.
Welcome to Abstract Essay, Mr. Olaolu, and can you please introduce more about yourself?
Absolutely. So I am Olaolu Ogunyemi, as you alluded to. I'm a U.S. Marine officer. I'm a husband and I have 3 children. I have a 15-year-old girl, 11-year-old boy, and a 6-year-old girl. I'm an author, as you already alluded to. I've written 3 children's books. My award-winning children's book is called Crow from the Shadow, and the other 2 are called Billy Dipper's Time to Shine and Horace the Horsefly. Everything that I do through my Parent-Child Connect series and platform is to build resources and build a relationship with parents and children so that parents can guide their children and help them become the next impactful leaders. So Daniel, like I said, I'm very excited to be here and thank you for having me.
Mr. Olaolu Ogunyemi, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. And today, let's talk about, this is a good topic, especially for parents out there. Build a better leaders at home, the missing link between parenting and workplace leadership. What inspired you to connect parenting skills with workplace leadership development, Mr. Olaolu?
Absolutely, because the one thing I learned is that our children teach us a lot of great lessons. They teach us things that I don't know if we are able to learn in the workplace, because the workplace is all about the bottom line, and a lot of times our mistakes can cost the company money and cost the company time, which of course does not go over well with the company leadership or organizational leadership. So I believe that your leadership starts at home. Where you have the ability to make mistakes, you have the ability to learn from your mistakes, specifically with your children. So that's what I mean by that. And that's why I advocate for parenting and bridging the gap between parenting at home and leading at work.
Mr. Olaolu, how does raising children unconsciously shape our leadership capabilities?
Absolutely. So that's a great question. There's a couple of things that I always tell people. Probably the biggest thing that we learn as parents that can really help us in the workplace is empathy. Our children force us at times to be more empathetic towards them and learn about them so that way we can lead them best. And these are the skills that once we learn how to be empathetic, we learn how to nurture them and understand our importance in their growth. And we start learning how to apply that at work. It makes us much better leaders. Some things that I've learned from my children is the ability to listen without judging and delaying judgment and understanding where they're coming from. And once you get that muscle, start working that muscle, because the child's mind doesn't necessarily connect things as we would expect it to, an adult's mind to connect. So what I think of is if I'm patient enough to sit down with my child and hear their thought process and work with them through issues, there's no excuse for me now to come to work and not have the same level of patience and be empathetic with workers. So really, I would say that's probably some of the things that you're working in your mind subconsciously is when you're sitting down with your children and you're learning how to communicate and work with them through situations, you're also learning how to work with people, adults in the workplace.
Mr. Olaolu, what the core leadership competencies do parents develop that transfer directly to the workplace?
Great question. So there's 2 things that's right off the top of my head that I'll say is authenticity. So that's our ability to be who we are. It's hard to hide who you are at home. Most of us are comfortable in our home, and we're just going to relax, and we're not going to worry about things as we would if we were out in public. So we learn how to be authentic in our home. Thus, we're able to go out. So I will say that's the first core competency. That is the authenticity. Second is vulnerability. Again, another thing that's tough for us when we're out in the workplace, because sometimes we want to put on the facade that we're very strong and we're capable and we're doing all these great things. But when we're home, we have the ability to let our guard down quite a bit. But that vulnerability also allows us in the workplace to create an environment where people feel safe to bring ideas, they feel safe to make mistakes and safe to fail, which in turn actually makes the environment, the work environment, more creative. So those are the two first, I would say probably the foremost things that I could think of that you work at home. It's the authenticity and the vulnerability that you're able to subconsciously work and that you're able to continue to develop in your home and then take to the workplace.
Let's talk about the parenting leadership training. What parenting moments provide the best leadership boot camp experiences?
Oh, great question. So I would say the parenting moments that create the best leadership moments is when the kids make mistakes. And I don't mean just like the mistakes that, hey, I tripped and I fell, I bumped my knee. I mean the ones that you've told them 10 times over, hey, do not do that. And they go and do it anyway. And I think that that is the moment where you learn how to be, what leadership is truly about. Because there's a couple things that may be happening. Number one, maybe they don't understand your instructions, which is a good leadership trait to be able to clearly articulate what you want people to do. Because if you can't articulate it and they don't understand it, then they're not going to be able to execute what you think is the right answer. Number two is teaching. And how do you teach them to be self-disciplined, which is applying your lessons when you're not around? How do you teach them to be self-disciplined? So those are two. That's the first two. And then number three is, hey, when do you know it's time to actually sit them down and have a face-to-face, eye-to-eye conversation where you're just saying, hey, something's not working and we have to get on the same page so we can either that or we're going to have to make some massive changes. And those are the kind of things that you learn the most. I think that's the boot camp experience you're referring to. It's when those children, those things that you know for a fact you've told them not to, especially when they should know better. Now imagine that in the workplace. You have somebody who you believe should be performing better. You've given them the resources and tools to perform better, and maybe they're just not stepping up to the plate. So now because you've worked those skills, you work those muscles with your children, you have the ability to sit down and work with that individual and hopefully help them reconcile. And if not, again, you have the ability to sit down and have that hard conversation, which a lot of us leaders have a hard time doing. We have a hard time facing conflict and telling somebody when they're not doing well or they're making mistakes or they're not performing up to par. But with children, you have plenty of opportunities to tell them that, and you have plenty of opportunities to practice going through confrontational moments without completely going with the bull in the china shop mentality and wrecking emotions. So I would say that's probably the most boot camp, the best boot camp for leaders at home.
Very well said, Mr. Olaolu. Beautifully articulated. How does managing sibling conflict prepare someone for workplace meditation?
I think so. My parents used to always tell us this because my brothers and I, it's six of us, six children. I have two older sisters and four brothers. Three of us are separated by 2 years. And then my younger brother's 5 years younger. The reason I'm telling you that is because we used to do everything together. We played sports together. We played video games together. We did all these things together. But we also were ultra competitive. And one thing that my mom and dad told us is that they had to learn when they needed to be a coach and when they need to be a referee. And at times, they had to step in and they had to get in there and say, okay, stop. You go to your corner, you go to your corner, and that's enough. It's not time. There's no time we're not going to resolve this right now. This is the time I just need to separate you and both of you individually calm down. And then there's times when you have to coach them through it. And that was probably the most learning moments, moments when we learn the most. And for my children, that's the moments when I believe they learn the most. It's that when they're able to come together and we're saying, okay, you guys are hitting each other, headbutting each other, and we know that we're working towards the same goal. There may be some competition, whether it be something like, well, I want to go and do this, but he's not allowing me, or I feel like he's holding me back. Or in the workplace, there's some competition to say, well, I want this raise or I want this promotion. So I'm going to be doing X, Y, and Z in order to get ahead. So one of the things as the coach or referee, whichever one you're going to be in the workplace, one thing you have to do is, first of all, realize what's going on, recognize who you need to be at that moment. If you need to be a referee, then be a referee. Blow the whistle, pull everybody to the side, and make sure you enforce the rules that are supposed to be there. But if you need to be a coach, sit down with those people and those individuals and work with them through those issues, work with them through their conflict. So that way they know and they trust you and know that you're there for them and you're with them through the circumstance they're going through. So I believe that's the best way for children for us to learn with our children. And I believe that with that that inner conflict that happens inevitably in a home does train you to be an effective leader.
In what ways is setting boundaries with children similar to setting professional boundaries?
It's hard. It is hard to set boundaries with children, especially for first time parents. When I was a very young parent, and I wanted my children to know that they can come access me anytime. They can come access. I mean, if they need something, they should, or if they want anything, not even need. If they want anything, they should come see me. But what I soon learned is that when every time that they came in and interrupted my train of thought, or interrupted me for spending time with their mother, or interrupted my homework, or whatever it is, they were causing me not to be able to complete the things that I needed to complete. And in most cases, it wasn't because they actually needed something, which is the very, food, water, shelter, and clothing. It's not that they needed any of those things. That was well provided for. It's because they wanted something. They were used to walking in and getting what they wanted, or used to just telling me about their smallest issues, or used to just saying, hey, Dad, look at this. But you'll be surprised that once we establish that same habit in the workplace, that people will do the same thing. And I believe that the biggest thing that I've noticed, is that people, as trying to be great leaders, trying to be effective leaders, and I commend people for it, but we've now started to abuse the open door policy. And what I mean by that is we open our door and we allow people to walk in and out all day long. And what it's doing is it's distracting you from completing your tasks, and it's distracting you from being an effective leader, because you're no longer giving the information the way you're supposed to be. The information flow is broken. You're talking to only maybe a couple of people who feel comfortable talking to you. And oh yeah, all those tasks that are piling up because you just keep having people come in and talk to you, is just not working out. So what I learned from my children is that you have to have boundaries. And it started for me with quite literally closing my door. That's both physically and metaphorically. I had to close the door, and I implemented what I call the closed door policy. And that means that when I have the door closed, I'm focused, I'm working. And if there's an emergency, yes, you can come knock and you come interrupt me. But if it's not an emergency, then don't come knock and don't come interrupt me, because right now I'm focusing on the task. And when I'm done with that task, I'm going to open my door, close it again, and I'm going to be on the other side now, and I can dedicate my time to you and my attention to you. And it's the same thing in the workplace. We need to adopt a closed door policy, which I know is counterintuitive. And I've talked about this in a lot of my leadership content. But it's counterintuitive, but we should implement a closed door policy, which allows people to know that, hey, I have time for you. I will schedule uninterrupted time with you, but I have to set the boundary that allows me and you to do the work that you need to do.
Mr. Olaolu, in what ways is setting boundaries with children with, well, limiting belief?
Can you ask the question again? I'm sorry.
In what ways setting boundaries with children with limiting belief?
Okay. Yeah, I believe that when you set boundaries with children, it does allow them to learn. It allows them to learn and interact with other people. It allows them to understand that boundaries exist for a reason. We're telling them that the world doesn't necessarily revolve around them, and everything that they want and need in that moment isn't necessarily the right thing. It also is teaching them the importance of setting their own boundaries. Because as they grow older and they learn and they understand, and now they're developing their network of people, they realize that setting their own boundaries, it becomes important, and that they're able to grow and develop more healthy relationships because they learn the art of setting boundaries at an early age.
Definitely. Mr. Olaolu, as a leadership mentor, children's book author, and parenting advocate, and the future author of The Lead Last, what are your short term and long term goals?
Yeah, so my short term goals is to continue to invest time writing, to reading, spending time in schools. I love going to elementary schools and reading my children's books or other children's books with them. I just love spending time with children. Also, short term, I'm going to publish Lead Last. I'm working alongside my publishing group, which is Amplified Publishing Group, to go through the publishing process now. We're in the early stages. I finished writing, but now they're in developmental editing stages. And we should have something by early next year. So, very exciting times. Long term is to continue to invest in my hometown and really upbringing, helping to bring and mentor these young individuals who maybe don't have the same level of community that I had growing up. So I want to provide that to them. I want to go back into the hometown and teach young fathers how to make it through those hard times when they don't know what to do as a father, like me. I want to go back and help these young men and women know that there is a different path that you can take. You can be a Marine, you can be an author, you could be a writer, you could be a sports an athlete. You can be whatever you put your mind to. So I want to go back and invest that time. So that's my long term goals, and I look forward to continue to pursue those goals.
Good luck to your goals, Mr. Olaolu, and looking forward for more success. And what will be your piece of advice for those people out there who want to be like you?
Absolutely. So my piece of advice for anybody who wants to be like me: number one, set your goals even higher. Make sure that you
Yes.
start creating a pattern for the people who you want to be like. If you see what they're doing, start studying them and understand what they're doing, understand what they're reading and what they're writing. Get to know them a little bit more on a personal level and on a professional level to see how you can get there. If I were to tell somebody how they could create success and start having momentum in their lives, I would say have habits, create healthy habits that will lead you in the right direction to start creating the success. Start acting like the person that you want to be. So if you want to be a professional singer, then every day you should have a habit of singing like like a professional singer would. Start training your voice. Start going through all these things. So really, it's about setting your long-term goal and then starting to put things in place that allow you to make it to that goal. And that's what it is: studying people who are there and starting to take those small steps every single day and creating those small habits every single day and acting like that you're already where you want to be, because eventually you actually will make it there.
Thank you for that advice, Mr. Olaolu. Thank you, and empowering indeed. And let's talk about the mindset shift. How does a long term perspective of parenting differ from typical quarterly business thinking?
Oh, that's a great question. So when we're thinking about long-term parenting, the first thing we think about is we start almost like way in the future. For example, when I was a young father, I had already started thinking about, how I was going to pay for my daughter's college, how I was going to make sure that they, pay for their weddings and all these things. I'm thinking way down the road. I'm going to match dollar for dollar when she starts saving up for her first car and they start saving up for their first car. How I'm going to buy them and what kind of cars are going to be, how much it's going to be. I thought about all those things, right? And those are important because you start to work backwards and trying to figure out what you want to teach them. But when you talk through your quarterly goals and you start working with your team members, that's a little bit different, but the strategy and the concept is the same. I believe Stephen Covey started by saying, begin with the end in mind. In other words, you think about where you want to be at the end of the quarter. And then you start breaking that down into little segments. And some may say monthly. I would recommend even weekly segments along with your team member and sit down and create a plan that has you building up to those goals. So, yes, you can maintain that long term concept, that long term mindset, the same way that you will with children. But the concept is always going to be the same. Think about where you want to be, begin with the end in mind, and then develop a plan working backwards that allows you to get to that desired end state.
Mr. Lalo, let's talk about the practical applications. What specific parenting strategies can managers immediately apply with their teams? or
Yeah.
as a
So
parent too?
yeah, that's a great question. So first of all, start looking at how you are disciplining your office, your people, your family. Start looking at discipline. That's a strange word, and it's also strange that I started there. But I like to think of that word discipline, especially as a United States Marine. That's something we talk about all the time. One thing that sometimes we lost in translation when we took that word from its original, from its origin to where it is now, is that somehow we've intertwined discipline and punishment, and that's why a lot of people never achieve discipline. We when we equate those two, people don't achieve discipline. So one of the practical strategies I have for people is start looking at disciplining others as the ability to bring them on as your pupil, as your disciple, so that way you're teaching them and they're taking on your instructions for themselves. So that's the first bit of practical advice I have. Go in with the mindset that you are there to help them, teach them, guide them, and not necessarily punish them. And even when they mess up, discipline, in that case, you're still trying to teach and guide them as a pupil, as a teacher would with a pupil, not necessarily as maybe an oppressor or whoever, whatever it may do with some form of other student. Another thing that I'll bring up is watch how you talk to people. Understand how you talk to people and treat people and interact with others. That's the same way you walk in your house. There's something that I've always said, I've always thought about, and I learned this from my mom. She said you can always walk in the house and find something wrong. That's a fact. I mean, you can. Every parent could tell. I'll tell you now. If you were to walk in the house from work, there's always going to be something wrong that you can point out. And that's the same thing when you're in the office. There's always going to be something wrong that you can point out. But the problem with that is most people don't respond to consistent negativity. They respond when you highlight the positive that they're doing. Yes, of course, you should tell them, give them feedback, real feedback to tell them, hey, when something's not going well. But people more so respond when you're giving them positive feedback and giving them helping them understand what they're doing well than they do when you're constantly telling them and berating them for doing something wrong. So watch how you're interacting with people. Try to catch people doing right instead of trying to catch them doing wrong. And that's the same. I think those two intertwine both at home and in the workplace. And the last thing I would say on things that you can apply as a leader is smile more. It sounds crazy, but you know, the attitude that you bring into the workplace and the energy that you bring into the workplace and into the home really does impact the people around you. If you're always frowning, if you're always down, uh, you're going to bring that same level of energy into the room, and you won't be able to. If you can't figure out why your productivity is slow or why you guys can't pick up momentum, I would argue that maybe you should check your attitude, check what you're doing and how you're coming into work. Are you clear minded? Are you engaging with people? Are you smiling? Are you even trying to have some form of interaction with them? Or are you just going straight to your office or straight to your room and allowing them to figure it out as they go? I would offer that we should check our attitudes as leaders. Because really we're setting the temperature, if you will, for the culture that's there. If you want a lot of energy and you want people to set goals and achieve goals, then I argue that you should get out and set goals and achieve goals and be energetic about them, both personal and professional, and share those moments so that way your team also can grow with you in both personally and professionally. So those are really the three tips that I would give: discipline, watch your attitude or watch your tone and the way you engage with people, and watch your attitude.
Discipline, discipline indeed. And how might recognizing parenting as a leadership development transform corporate training?
Oh, absolutely. That's a phenomenal question because what I learned as we started talking about is parenting is almost like it's like your sandbox, to steal a term from the IT world. The sandbox is where you get to go in and develop all these cool things. But if you push a button and it all breaks, it's okay because it's in a play area, it's in a controlled environment, and you don't have to worry about it impacting somebody. The problem is, and I'll tell you from an IT perspective, the problem is when you go live with a project and you're still tinkering around with it and trying to figure it out, some of the more basic functionalities, and then it crashes. That's where your problem comes into play. So that's where parenting has become for me. Parenting for me gives me an opportunity to try and learn things. For example, something I recently just started with my children is I'm trying to help them, help myself, first of all, and then help them as well grow in their emotional intelligence. And what that means is I'm starting by helping them understand what emotions are. A lot of time we misidentify emotions, thus we can't grow in emotional intelligence. So what I did is, number one, I hung up I think there's about 100 or so emotions on the wall. And when they walk in the house from school, or when they come in from outside, I'll say, "Hey, how do you feel about your first day of school, or how do you feel about that game that you played today, or whatever?" And I allow them to answer that question. If they say good, I tell them, "Oh, nope, that's not an emotion. Go check the board if you need some help." But this is just me in my sandbox, learning how to communicate with my children and grow their emotional intelligence while I'm growing my own. Now, when I go live, quote unquote, that's me going now to the workplace and figuring out how to apply the same kind of exercise or tools in the workplace, so I can help my team grow it the same way. So these are the kind of things. This is just one example of many of ways that we can use our parenting at home as a sandbox, or as a way to grow ourselves as leaders. So when we go out into the world and to the workplace, we're able to really create impactful leaders out there.
Mr. Olaolu, before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, people. My other podcast, because my abstract essay is already in 5th season, abstract poetry in 2nd season, and my book 101 review in 5th season too. Comedy 101 in 2nd season, and my food 101 in 5th season as well. Geography 101 in 4th season, and my baby podcast Law 101 and Mental Health 101, Love Letters in 3rd season, and Movie 101 review and Music 101 in 4th season, and Science 101 and Sex 101 in its 1st season. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcasts. So, Mr. Olaolu, what's one piece of advice would you give to a parent leaders trying to balance both roles?
Yeah, so schedule yourself. Don't be afraid to use your calendar. I use my calendar for everything. I share it with my wife, I share it with my kids. But you have to organize your day in order to balance the time effectively and then balance your life effectively. Schedule time for yourself to build your physical, mental, spiritual, and emotional health. Schedule time for your children. Schedule time for your wife, spouse, or significant others. And of course, schedule time for your work and all those other things that you need to do. So the biggest thing I'll tell people, the biggest piece of advice is create a schedule, organize your day and your desk, and make sure that you're ready to tackle the day. And so that way you can balance being a parent and every other responsibility you do have.
Mr. Olaolu Ogunyemi, again, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. So can you please invite our listeners to support your advocacy, your books, or whatever projects that you're doing right now?
Absolutely. The best way to connect with me is to go to parent-child-connect.com. You'll see free resources. You'll see my books. You'll see all those great things there. So come on out to my website. Again, visit at www.parent-child-connect.com. I look forward to seeing you there.
Yes, people, let's support Mr. Olaolu Ogunyemi, because if you support him, for sure, more and more and more empowering books to come. More and more empowering advocacy to come. So before we go, Mr. Olaolu, can you tell us about your upcoming book, Lead Last?
Absolutely. Lead Last is a counterintuitive leadership book for early to mid-career professionals. And really what it's there to do is help us all become impactful leaders. So that way we leave a legacy on this earth as we move on from our organization. We can go ahead and create cultures where people can grow and develop into the leaders that they're meant to be. So I look forward to launching that book, and I'll have that post on my website as well when it comes out.
Yes, people, let's support Mr. Olaolu Ogunyemi for this upcoming book. For sure, if you support him, more and more empowering lead last to come. So, Mr. Olaolu, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Daniel. It's been a pleasure.
More to come, people. See you soon.